Gotcha.
Because Americans do that. Americans are like right out here, and almost anywhere you go as an American, they're like, I know you're American, and you're like, why? It's like, because you don't stop smiling.
What?
Yes, I agree with you completely. What Americans love to smile, and I think it is great. It is really great because why not? Yes.
Positive or negative stereotypes do you see that people, American people, have about Chinese people, just in general?
Hello everyone, hello. My name is Alex and I'm studying English, and today I want to watch with you interesting video about Americans. This video are named What do Americans think of China? Yes, and this video from channel American Boss. Yes, and I think this video will be interesting for me, and I hope for you it will be interesting too. And of course, now we know what between USA and China are difficult relationships, yes, and we know what now USA and China have trade war, yes, and of course that's why this video will be useful for me, yes. Okay, let's go, let's watch.
Hey everybody, it's Cody from American Boss. There appears to be no end in sight for the US-China trade war, and there has been a lot said in the media about its devastating impact on both countries. But have you ever wondered about how ordinary US citizens feel about this trade war? In fact, how much do they even know about China in the first place? Our American Boss reporter, Carlos, hit the streets of San Diego to find out.
How much do you think the general American public knows about China?
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
I don't think the general population knows a lot about history.
Okay.
Nothing at all. I would say that I try to be aware, more aware than the general population, and I don't even know that much. I don't think people know anything.
Have you guys ever been in China?
Come on. I think just ordinary people have own lives. Why they should care about China? Come on. Yes.
I have not.
I was just in Hong Kong this summer, and it's an interesting question, like, have I been to China or have I not?
I'm planning a trip there actually soon.
Okay. Do you know what the capital of China is?
Bangkok.
Bangkok? What? No.
What comes to mind when you hear the word China?
The Great Wall of China?
Industry. Karate.
Sorry?
Karate.
Karate, cool.
Where stuff is made.
Okay.
Chinese food.
High population numbers, also lots of political tension, obviously.
Political tension. Yes, sometimes I'm translating words. Yes, political tension, very... Yes.
Something that comes up a lot.
I think of products.
Products?
Yeah, because everything that you purchase out here, you always see made from China.
Okay. When you see that something is made in China, what sort of perception do you get about that something, whether it's a product or whatever it is?
That it's mass produced in that, like, it's just mass produced. It's not that unique or authentic.
I feel like that's sort of like a condescending term, right? Okay. Like when you say like made in China, I think a lot of the general population would think, associate that with like being cheap. I don't necessarily think that. It's tough in the political space that we're at right now with like tariffs and all of that, that we're being encouraged to buy like things that are not made in China. Gotcha. But I don't necessarily think it's cheap or anything like that.
I feel like a lot of people don't respect.
I feel what Americans are respecting Chinese from this video. Yes.
It as much. A lot of people just think, oh, if it's made in China, it's kind of cheap or whatever. I noticed that like when it says like made in America, it's like, oh, it's American made, like blah blah blah. It depends on the quality of the product and what you're buying, but big ups to them because they provide for the whole world.
Have you ever interacted with Chinese people just overall? And then whether it's like in a professional environment or socially, and then what differences do you see, if any, what differences stand out between Americans and Chinese people?
Well, I used to work with a company and the owner was Chinese, and I noticed that they're really good with their money. Okay. She was really good at making money. And
I agree with him completely. I think what Chinese people are really about business. Yes, they can make money. Yes, they can produce. Yes.
And spending and all that.
I think the biggest difference, at least between them and American culture, is that we are more likely to talk to strangers. I feel like Chinese people are more, I guess, just likely to interact with their group when they're out, when maybe, you know, I might say hello to a stranger in the elevator or something.
A lot of the time, not always, but a lot of the time they tend to be a little bit more kind of soft-spoken, not like quiet, but they don't say as much, they don't wear as much of their emotions on their sleeves. Because Americans do that. Americans are like right out here, and almost anywhere you go as an American, they're like, I know you're American, and you're like, why? It's like, because you don't stop smiling.
What?
Yes, I agree with you completely. What Americans love to smile, and I think it is great. It is really great because why not? Yes.
Positive or negative stereotypes do you see that people, American people, have about Chinese people, just in general?
I guess I would say more positive. I don't know of any. I can't think of any negative stereotypes, but like I think more positive things because you see the Chinese New Year, which is pretty cool. You see how they have the dragon set up, and then with the martial arts. Okay. I see a lot more positive than negative.
Our government is like democratic and like we all vote and stuff, but in China, I'm under the impression that it's not like that. So I feel like we don't have a lot to go on. So in portraying them, like we just like put what we think is out there.
I would say that the perception of it just being communist skews like perspective, because I would think a lot of Americans just see that they're communist and then they like draw similarities to Russia, and so they just see that as strictly being negative because of just how bad Russia was when they were Soviets.
Obviously, they've got a very rich tapestry of history and culture and everything like that. But in terms of like current events and everything, of course, I'm sure everybody brings up the whole trade tariff thing happening between, America and China, because whatever your feelings are on Trump, I think his idea was that there was an unfair deal happening where China was getting more out of it than America was. So he was trying to kind of finagle a deal of some kind. And
he was trying of finagle. Yes. And what I want to say you, finagle. Yes.
Finagle.
What I want to say, here from this video, I feel what Americans are respecting Chinese, respecting China, and also now we should remember USA and China have trade war, but Americans anyway, they're respecting them. And it is very cool. It is very cool, I think.
I also know right now there is a huge ton of conflict between, I think it's Hong Kong and China right now. There's a huge amount of protests where people in Hong Kong are trying to like really make their own stand for their own kind of autonomy away from China. Yeah. And China's not really having that.
How do you think the trade war that's going on with China, between China and the U.S., might affect our life?
I feel like it'd be pretty bad just because a lot of stuff is made in China. So, but I also feel like it would help American-based industries and businesses to like thrive a little more. But I feel like a lot of the stuff that they have for their businesses also comes from China. So I feel like it would be a really big change in business.
Yes, I think it will be really big changes, and also it is difficult process. It will be not so easy, but it will be useful, I think so, for Americans. Yes, for USA.
I feel like it'll be a problem, like just with pricing and like stuff like that, just the cost of things. But we might come around. I feel like it'll adjust,
yes.
With time.
Right now, I'm actually investing in the stock market for, pretty heavily for the last couple years, and I have already seen the effects. I mean, my accounts went down at least 10% in the last 2 weeks. I'm really hoping they can come to some kind of agreement or get it leveled out, because Americans right now are losing money because of it.
I like what Americans are investing money. It is really, really great. Ordinary US citizens are investing money. I think it is really great.
I think it's sustainable. Just in the world of computers, if you want to manufacture something from where somebody's building the code or making the actual computer or testing it or building a processor, it takes collaboration from people and companies around the world. So I think discouraging that's a bad idea personally.
I think it might hurt our relationship overall going into the future, even into like the next presidencies. They might be hesitant to work with us, and then
they might be hesitant. Yes, sorry for this, but hesitant. Yeah. Hesitant.
Also, I feel like it might push us into a recession if it goes too far.
How much do you know about the Hong Kong situation that's going on right now?
Yeah. I know that it seems pretty crazy.
How much do you guys know about the Hong Kong situation? And then, just sort of your opinion on what's going on there right now.
I actually watched a video about it this morning. Essentially, what I got from it was
these guys are really informative. It is really great.
Hong Kong had an agreement with Britain back in the day, and they basically made their own government, and they're more democratic than authoritarian like the mainland Chinese government. And the Chinese government's trying to get rid of that process, and they're trying to just prosecute people in Hong Kong in the mainland of China. I think that's really not a good idea, because the people who have lived there have grown up their entire lives there. That's all they know. So how are they going to go from a more democratic type of government to an authoritarian where you can't speak out against your own government without worrying about going to prison for the rest of your life?
Yes.
So I think it's not a good look, and I think they need to just let them do their own thing, maybe even be independent.
Hong Kong's such an important place for international trade, and I think as the laws get harsher there and there's potential for criminals of both, any type of collar crime to be extradited to mainland China, I think it'll make people in high finance and large corporations less likely to do business there. So I think they'll probably just be hurting themselves.
Going forward, what do you see the future of China looking like? What do you think? How do you think that's going to play out?
Sometimes, like, the higher ups kind of keep things from happening, and who wouldn't want the world to be a better place? So hopefully it's a good future for them. I would love to see that.
I think for the future, there's a big kind of consensus that China's going to become this new tech giant that's kind of ruling over a lot of the tech power in the same way that maybe America does now. It's going to kind of be like China's turn soon in terms of technological power. Unfortunately, if the politics stay the way that they are today, I don't think that's going to happen. I think the more power it gains in this kind of political system that it's in, the
power gains. Yes, again. Yes.
poorer the vast amount are going to get in the communist side of it, and the richer the capitalist side is going to become, and it's going to kind of separate them in a much bigger way.
I would say it greatly depends upon like how the U.S. goes within the next some odd years, because our economies have kind of relied on each other for such a long time, and if this trade war persists, it could hurt that, and then it could actually affect us both negatively, or they could bounce back and we could be together.
San Diego certainly doesn't represent the entire country, but we still hope you found ordinary Americans' perspectives of China interesting. Which answer surprised you most? Let us know in the comment section below. For more authentic insight into the latest news and cultural trends in America, be sure to subscribe to American Boss. Thanks for watching, and stay curious.
Oh my god, it was really interesting. It was really informative for me, and I think what Americans like to think, yes, I think what Americans like to read news, and I think what you are like also to invest in money. Yes, it is about Americans. And of course, for me, of course, difficult to speak about this. Difficult to explain all my thoughts, but it was very interesting to listen. Yes, and I will be glad if you will leave your opinion below, if you will say some words about this topic, because for me it is really interesting. I will read your opinion, yes, and also you can leave a like and subscribe to me. For me it means a lot, and of course, thank you very much and see you next time.